My son Louie was born into a really big, beautiful Italian family. We had a great, and Vinny too. We had a great family, and we had a great time, growing up in Bloomingdale and Medina, playing sports, being Boy Scouts, just being involved in the community, being involved in, their school. They were wonderful children to raise, and there was nothing back then that I could look back at that, would say that this is where I would be standing and telling my story. In fact, I probably would be sitting where you're sitting and saying, that could never happen to me. Back then, I would probably be thinking that could never happen in my family. We're a good family. I'm going to teach my kids about the dangers of drugs. I'm going to make sure they know what they need to know. So, just standing here thinking that's probably what you're thinking, I don't blame you, but this drug is real, and it could go into anyone's life. And we do need just to be so vocal about it, and not be ashamed about it, and just keep talking about it, keep the dialogue going, and just keep educating ourselves. So my kids, Louie and Vinny, were, like I said, great little boys. And in high school, they played sports. They played for Driscoll High School, and they were state championships. And on the weekends, they started smoking pot and drinking with their friends. And looking back at that, I was semi-aware of it, but didn't think it was a major problem because, all the other kids were doing it, and it didn't seem to be anything alarming. They weren't driving. It was, it just seemed like a normal chain of events in boys in high school and in sports. Then sports injuries entered our life, and prescription pain medication came into our lives, and it spiraled. Addiction is a progressive disease, and you don't know who is going to progress to the next level. There's no telltale signs. There's no tattoo on that person. But as the disease progresses, their use progresses, and prescription pills became their drug of choice until they, like Angelica said, they can no longer get that. And heroin entered my life. And one of my friends told me that she thought my son was doing heroin. And when I said that word, like heroin, I just couldn't believe it. I didn't know about it. I thought it was, something from the 60s, and just didn't know that heroin could even be around in my young children's life. It still shocks me when I have to talk about it. So after a few stints of rehab and costly rehab, and watching my son Louie transform into this person that I no longer recognized, a person that would steal from me, a person that would steal from his family, a person that would not join into family events, a person that lost their lust for life, a person that was a shadow of himself. We put him into rehab, and he did wonderful, and I got my son back. And a month after he came back from rehab, I don't know what he was thinking that day, but he OD'd, and I got the call that no mother should ever get to come home, and my son was gone. So, it's my hopes that, that no one has to live this nightmare, and we keep on educating ourselves, because I don't think anyone should have to live the way I live, with a broken heart, never being able to see my son progress in life and get married and have kids. I don't want to see anyone else suffer this. I think there is a few things we need to, do to ensure that, like, after my kids were out of high school, I kind of thought that I did my job, and kind of lost track of where they went and who they were seeing, and they were still under my financial control. So I would change that. I would go back and make sure, I checked their cell phone and where they were going. I mean, they're semi-adults, you can't watch everything they do, but I would have been a little more aware. And actually, I would check, who's coming into my house more. I would have more rules. I would make sure that they were home at a decent time, even in their 20s. I went to bed without them coming home sometimes. Also, the addicts did know which doctors were giving prescriptions to the addicts, and they let each other know this doctor prescribes this, doctor prescribes this. I think as a community we need to, I can't name names, but we need to out them and make sure that, that this practice stops, because it's only going to produce more heroin addicts. I'm just really nervous today. I'm sorry. I just sometimes can't look at these pictures. There's lots of moms that are fighting my fight, and some of them are here, that have lost kids. We get together and talk about our kids, because we're still in shock that we lost them. And they're sitting here, and I just want to say they're brave warriors too. And could you stand, please, Audrey? Yeah. Thank you. They want to, we want to join together to make sure no one has to live the way we do, and prevent this, and just try to keep talking about it. Also, I think if we learn to talk about this as a disease more, the shame factor for our kids, and getting help and reaching out would probably lessen the overdose death rate. So an addict is a person with a disease and should not be treated any other way than any other person with a disease. And I do think that would contribute to the helping society with this problem. Also, I think you're very lucky to be sitting here and listening to this. I don't know if my story would have been changed if I would have had the opportunity to be sitting where you're sitting when my kids were young. I don't know, but I would like to, think that maybe education is going to really be the I'm sorry, education is really going to help play the part in helping this disease. I'm sorry, I'm just not myself today. So, it's something that we have to do, and something we have to share with each other as a community. So if each one of you could go ahead and tell 5 people what you learned today and keep the dialogue open, that's just going to help perpetuate this disease from, eradicating. Heroin is real. We can't hide it. We can't pretend it's not there. It's in our neighborhoods, and I just think that this is a brave panel, and I'm sorry. Just thank you for listening.